to the Game 7 show. It is Monday, July 15th. I almost said April 11th again. I don't know what that date has significance in my life. It is Will Satler alongside Isaac Bugarin with David Velasquez in the studio alongside Met Radio Studios, MSU Denver. 9 a.m. We're an early show today. We're on the morning shift.
Early show today. Got the morning shift. Got the morning drive. Maybe you'll listen to this on your way home from work.
During the Rockies game, in between the doubleheader today.
That's right. That's
Rockies
right.
and Giants times 2 will be there.
You'll be listening to our takes. If you don't like our takes, contact us, game7show@gmail.com. Or you could tweet us. You can tweet Will at Will Satler. Tweet myself at Isaac_Bugarin. You could tweet the Game 7 podcast page at _Game 7. Like us on Facebook at Game 7 Show. YouTube, we have a YouTube channel where we post our full-length videos. That is Game 7 Show.
They're good.
You getting the trend here?
What's the trend?
Game 7.
We talk about sports.
Game 7. We give you a new show every Monday, right? You can listen to that on mymetmedia.com, as always.
SoundCloud now. We're on
SoundCloud also.
Apple hasn't gotten back to me. We'll be on Apple in a minute.
Hopefully. Let's hope to be on Apple Podcasts here pretty soon.
We're in Apple. You're in everything. We can get on Spotify
exactly.
too. I didn't even think about Spotify.
Yeah. What else hosts podcasts?
There's like that. It starts with an S. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, Spreaker?
Spreaker, yeah, that's a big one.
Spreaker, yeah.
Hootsuite isn't a podcast.
Hootsuite?
I don't know what that is.
Hootsuite is what we use to do our social media, right?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had any content to upload recently.
Because our content creator sucks.
Our content has not been good enough to post.
I don't know about that.
It was a little shaky here and there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This week, we got some good content, though.
We do?
We do got some good content.
I think this week, there's no content. Let's just end the show. Thank you for tuning in.
Right here, 2 minutes into the show. Let's just cut it off.
Are you kidding me?
Hey, actually, kind of random that I brought this up just now, but one of my friends who listens to the show was saying that instead of doing like sports, we should just have conversation, like
Just
natural,
talk.
like talking between you and I.
You should suggest Andrew's podcast. What is it?
What's the name? I already forgot the name of his podcast.
Something.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is, but he's got a good idea, right?
Yeah, no, his idea is there. It's just like
the content is there, you know. We
don't want
talk about sports.
Step on his flow, man. That's not right.
We talk about sports. That's what we do, you know. We don't have natural conversation when it doesn't involve. We do, but it's not natural enough to be on a sports podcast.
It's usually about dogs or girls, one or the other. Should we add some of that flavor to this one?
I don't think so.
I think it's a little too early for that.
Yeah, it's 9 a.m. man, or almost 10 a.m. now.
Wow, it took you an hour to get into this podcast.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today? I don't know.
Today, we got a lot of content, right? Anthony Davis skipping Team USA camp to focus on the Lakers. We're going to talk about that. Russell Westbrook was traded to the Houston Rockets.
You say Russell Westbrook?
Hey, bro, it's my lisp. I got a speech impediment, man. Come on. Speech impediment. Chris Paul traded to the Thunder. We're going to talk about the implements of that trade. And also the ongoing drama in the moratorium period for the NBA free agency and how that keeps changing over the last few years.
I don't even know what a moratorium is. I just know that they exist on NBA 2K when I do my career.
It's the days leading up to free agency, so you could like have the verbal agreements. That's the moratorium period.
Why can't you just do that whenever? Why does it have to be 3 days that you have to do it? Why can't it just be as soon as the season ends?
Because the NBA has rules, man.
How strictly do they follow them? Because clearly tampering.
Exactly. But that's why the league has to have some guidelines in, right? You got to have some sort of organization. Wouldn't
Kawhi Leonard talking to Paul George about going to the Clippers be considered tampering? Because Paul George was technically...
It should be considered tampering, right?
But are they going to fine Kawhi Leonard? He's the face of the NBA right now. Right? Would you make that argument that Kawhi Leonard's the face of the NBA? Let's jump into basketball.
Hold up. Before we go any further, I think you could make the argument that Kawhi is the face of the NBA, but I don't think he is because LeBron James is still the biggest face in the NBA.
I mean,
bro, the dude has more followers on Twitter than ESPN does.
That's not hard. ESPN doesn't post good stuff. It's either Zion or...
Bro, he probably has more followers than Bleacher Report, too.
ESPN is a LeBron James fan account, bro.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Zion probably has more followers. So Kawhi Leonard, you don't think he's the face? Who's the face then? Other than if you said LeBron James was washed and he's going to win MVP this year probably.
I think you could make the case that Giannis might be the face just because he's a worldwide player. He's from.
I don't want to say he's the
Greece?
face. Yes, but at the same time, like, what has the NBA changed into? What's the style of the NBA?
Oh, it's
now?
changed into 3-point shooters. So it's Stephen Curry.
What can Giannis do? Not necessarily Steph Curry because he can't dunk. So find a middle ground. Who can shoot threes and dunk? Nikola Jokic.
Jamal Murray.
Kobe Bryant. Did you hear the comparison though? Kobe and Jamal have similar stats in their first 3 years.
Really?
Really, like very, very, like
But
scary.
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Kobe play on some really bad teams?
No, he was in the finals his rookie year. Yeah.
With
No,
Shaq? No,
he-
with not with no.
They didn't make the finals,
He
but
shouldn't
they
have
were
been
in the
finals.
playoffs. They were
Yeah,
in
I was
the
gonna say he
playoffs,
shouldn't have been in the finals his rookie year because I don't think he had Shaq.
Are you saying Shaq carried Kobe?
No, I'm saying that that's when they made the finals runs. That's when they went 3-peat, right?
Not when he first came into the league. That was
Yeah, exactly. He played
that
on
was
some
like
rough
2010 or something like that, right?
teams. But he also carried those other Lakers teams to championships. I mean, Derek Fisher, Pau Gasol,
Derek Fisher's the goat, man.
and
Gasol,
Andrew
bro.
Bynum. Was he on that team?
Yeah, Andrew Bynum is a beast. I don't know what you're talking
What
about.
about what's the other guy's name? Brown? Is it?
Kwame Brown?
No. I was thinking of some other small forward. Kwame Brown. I remember him. Wow, how the NBA has changed.
How's
Greg Oden,
What about him? That's my guy.
Big Three, man. He's playing in the Big Three. What are we talking?
Really?
Okay, today. But what are we gonna start off talking about?
We'll talk about basketball. I feel like basketball is the vibe today.
Okay,
Although Rockies is the mood. I mean, we got Rockies polos.
we do. We're going to the game. We're going to the Rockies doubleheader today.
Oh, we are? You
Yeah,
bought me
man.
tickets?
Yeah.
Where are you sitting at tonight?
First game, I'm sitting club level, like kind of right behind home plate.
Club level.
Bro, they were because when we got the seats, they were on sale because remember the weather was bad. It's the makeup game,
Oh, I do
right?
remember that,
So the
yeah.
seats were like really cheap right there, and so they were like $20 or something for like club level right behind home plate. And then for the second game, I think I'm sitting somewhere out in down the third base line.
You're on third base side? I never sit on third base side.
Usually I don't either. I usually like to sit on the first base side so I can see the sunset right over the scoreboard.
We're in section 119 or 116 or something like that. Row
116?
row 2, like both games.
Oh, that's word. That's what's up, bro.
Yeah, nice seats.
That's sweet.
I paid like $20.
Hopefully
Wow.
you don't get sunburned today, man. That sun's gonna be scorching.
Dude, I'm trying to get tan for the ladies.
Bro, look at this tan. Can you see
You're just
how
Mexican.
dark I am, bro? Oh my god.
No,
Anthony
no.
Davis is skipping the Team USA camp this summer.
Can I jump back in real quick? 97 is when Kobe entered the league.
Okay.
His first year, they lost in the Western Conference Finals. They got Shaq the next year.
And then went on that 3 feet.
They lost in the conference finals the next year, and then the semis the year after that, and then they won the 3-peat. Shaq led the team in win shares for 6 years straight
Okay.
before Kobe took over and did it until 07. He didn't even make the playoffs in 04.
Wow.
That's pretty bad. But I mean, Jamal didn't make the playoffs his first 2 years either.
Yeah, that's true.
But he had a pretty good postseason.
Yeah, he did. It was all right. Anthony Davis skipping Team USA camp this summer. He says that he's focusing on winning championships in the Lakers or with the Lakers and bringing a title back to Los Angeles. What does this mean for Anthony Davis?
Nothing. Does it have to mean something? Like,
Well,
play the dang game. Represent your country, man.
exactly.
Exactly.
It's a camp. It's not like you're playing games.
I think he's just scared to face Nikola Jokic in Serbia.
That could be it too. Although I think that's highly unlikely. I think that could be it. Doesn't
Highly
wanna
unlikely
play-
that they'll play each other, or highly unlikely that.
That's the reason why he's skipping Team USA camp. I think he's honestly skipping to focus on bringing a championship to LA. Which, can you be mad at him for that? I mean, it's
No.
Team USA summer camp. Is it that
Summer camp? But, like-
is it that important?
I don't know. Like, over the past few years, the summer camp has been something that, like, you see it all over Slam and Balls Live, right? You see all
Yeah.
those videos of them playing, like, one-on-ones. You get better at those camps, right? I don't remember a single player that's went to these camps and not gotten better from the competition.
But I
they did.
also think that these Team USA camps is where these superstars have a chance to talk about where they're going to go next, and giving that Anthony Davis can leave Los Angeles after this 1 year.
That's true.
What if he ended up meeting with somebody at Team USA? Like, what if he meets with Kemba Walker, and Kemba's like, "Hey, come to Boston next year, man." You know?
No, that's a good.
Is that reasonable?
That's a good point. No, I get that. I mean, what are you doing at this point in the season that's prepping you for a championship that you wouldn't get from that camp?
Exactly.
Like, are you running full practices with Rajon Rondo?
Are you running 5-on-5 full court games for an hour in a practice?
But I just feel like the practice you'd get with Team USA would be better than the practice you get with like the 4 or 5 guys that actually want to practice right now.
Exactly. I mean, granted, it's LeBron, Kyle Kuzma, Rajon Rondo that'll probably be there.
JaVale McGee, Avery Bradley.
I assume everybody wants to go to a Lakers camp. Right? I mean, obviously Anthony Davis wants to win a title, but I just don't see how skipping Team USA camp, knowing that you're probably going to play, knowing that you're going to start on this Team USA, and you're going to skip Team USA camp the summer before.
Yeah, I don't really get that. That just doesn't make any sense to me why you would skip out on that. But again, maybe there's something we don't know about this. Maybe he's worried that maybe he's in a Paul George year, right? He doesn't want to go get injured. He's about to get paid. So if he gets injured, he's going to turn into DeMarcus Cousins.
That is true. Or like I said earlier, he could just be trying to avoid the conversation with other superstars saying, "Hey, come to Boston."
I mean, if anybody's going to do that,
come to Portland.
I feel like it's Anthony Davis.
Come to Denver.
Now does not have cap space. And now that
let
Denver
go of
has
CJ McCollum.
Huh?
You could let go of CJ McCollum.
Would you do that though? Would you trade Anthony Davis for CJ McCollum? Obviously,
a straight up trade, I think you could.
No, I don't think that would happen.
Given that the Lakers don't need a shooting guard,
right?
I don't think that would happen. But
but like you would have to let go of CJ and essentially get Anthony Davis in return for free agency, kind of like a sign and trade. Like we've seen all last season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting predicament. I don't think Anthony Davis is going to leave the Lakers anytime soon.
Neither do I.
I wonder. I hope we see a Lakers-Clippers playoff series this year. Obviously not the finals, but a conference finals or whatever.
That would be really
I feel like they'll meet in the semifinals. I feel like
really
they'll probably be a 2 or a 4 seed.
That would be really interesting to see as far as if the Clippers are the home team, more yellow shows in the crowd.
Well, yeah. I mean, whether the Clippers are better or not, like there's too much history with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And especially with the Clippers moving out of that
Unless
building.
the Clippers come out and get like the number 1 seed or something, and the Lakers sneak in at like 7.
I don't even think that's going to be the case.
I don't know.
I mean, I think the Clippers are a top 3 contender. I think Clippers, Lakers, and Nuggets are the top 3 right now. And you could interchange the Nuggets and the Lakers.
I would argue that Portland's in a top 3, knowing that they just made it to the Western Conference Finals a year ago.
Yeah, no, I could argue that. I think
you could argue Houston's also in the top 3 now with this recent trade.
Do you think they got better? So
let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul were traded or swapped for each other basically, in addition to 2 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps that the Thunder got. I think that
holy assets, first of all.
Yeah, exactly.
OKC's set in 10 years.
100%. But is that before we get into this trade, is draft picks the way to go moving forward? Because it seems like nowadays it's all you're doing is trading all of these picks to get a superstar. And the Thunder did it backwards, to where they trade these superstars and they get all these picks. And they just wing it later. They're going to find out what they can do with it later.
They're going to Seattle. That's where they're going, and they're going to have expansion picks. Well, actually, it wouldn't be expansion if
they wouldn't have expansion. They're just moving.
I mean, they still have the picks. It's like they have those kind of picks. I mean, it's even better that they have all of these picks. But I love Westbrook's game. All the slander about him being a ball hog and him being a stat chaser, like that's not a thing, right? He wants to play the game of basketball, and he plays it hard. You got to respect that.
Yeah, I respect that, but I don't. Initially, when I saw that this trade came through, I was actually on the phone with my cousin, and that's when he told me that they were traded. Initially, I didn't think that this is going to be a good trade. I don't think it's going to work out for Houston, and I still don't think it's going to work out for Houston. You have 2 dominant ball handlers who want the ball, right? I believe they're the only 2 players that have scored. Was it 1,000 points or 10,000 points? I saw that stat on Twitter. The only 2 two players in the NBA to have scored 10,000 points or 1,000 points in X amount of time, which means that they want the ball. Obviously.
Yeah, James Harden and Russell Westbrook play together in OKC, so they have a little bit of history, and they have a lot of, not charisma, but they've played together. They have that chemistry built. I think they're going to be good, but it doesn't, to me, this does not make this Houston Rockets team any better, right? Obviously, I would take Westbrook at 30 over, I think, 34-year-old Chris Paul. I think maybe probably 35.
Yeah.
Contract-wise, they even out. You give up the picks. I just don't feel like they got better. What was Houston missing, right? What do you think they were missing?
Defense.
Russell Westbrook, wow, that's a good. I mean, Chris Paul is a great defender.
Yeah.
But is he?
Is Chris Paul still the elite defender that he was 5 years ago?
Not at all.
Probably not.
But would you say Russell Westbrook is an elite defender?
I probably wouldn't. Because he shoots the ball so much that he wears himself out.
He's never made an all-defensive team.
Exactly.
But he has won MVP.
But let me show you this. Russell Westbrook he shoots 42% from the field. James Harden shoots 44% from the field.
Okay.
Right?
That's
okay.
pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. But you also got to consider that James Harden plays in 37 minutes a game. Russell plays in 36 minutes per game.
So you don't have to take those two guys off the court.
Exactly. Right? Or at least not at the same time. Right? You could always have one of them on the floor. And then in the fourth quarter, I assume they played the whole fourth quarter together. Or whenever they come in, they're together.
Right, in the playoffs for sure.
Right. But Russell only scored 23 points a game last year. James Harden, 36.
Right, so there's 50 points right there. One. Yes, that's off, but that wasn't, I mean, you know who was right behind Harden in points? Obviously not right behind because Harden led the league by points by a landslide. But you know who's right behind him?
Who?
Paul George, which was Russell Westbrook's teammate. So I just don't see Russell Westbrook's probably going to have another triple-double year.
Oh, I don't think so.
I mean, why wouldn't he?
Because can he get the assists with James Harden hogging the ball? James Harden isn't a guy that wants to shoot off the dribble or get when Russell Westbrook passes to him. James Harden is a guy that's ISO, right? That doesn't give Russell an opportunity to get assists, right?
But that was, yeah, and that's where the thing comes in. Like, Harden wasn't like that when he was in OKC, right? Straight out of Arizona State, he was off the bench. He played off the ball. He could play off Kevin Durant.
He also played alongside Kevin Durant, who was in he's in his prime. Kevin Durant was in his prime a year ago, 2 years ago, but he was really freaking good in Oklahoma City, obviously.
Right.
He was really good.
He won an MVP.
Exactly. And Russell Westbrook wasn't the Russell Westbrook that he is today.
True.
When they played together.
Man, I miss that OKC team was fun to watch. They were not fun to play against.
But I also don't see Russell getting a triple-double because you also have Clint Capella, who is just an absolute rebound machine. Right?
He's good. He's all right. And I really think, of all the moves that the Thunder have made, which one do you think is the best for the Thunder?
For the Thunder?
Going forward. Obviously, you would say the Paul George one.
I think the Paul George one
is. You get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you get all the picks. That's pretty obvious.
I would say the Paul George one was probably the best one.
And then for the Thunder now, do they move Chris Paul or do they keep him? Can they move Chris Paul is actually probably the better question.
Who wants Chris Paul, I guess, is the good question.
Right now, it looks like there's one team interested. It's the Miami Heat.
They actually said that they weren't near as interested as... I just read a report yesterday that said they weren't as interested as what everybody's been reporting.
I mean, what assets does Houston have or Miami have to trade for?
And does Chris Paul even want to play alongside Jimmy Butler? You know?
I mean...
Does Jimmy Butler want to play alongside a 34-year-old point guard? Who's getting paid
Chris
$45
Paul
million?
Rather play with Danilo Gallinari and Steven Adams in a rebuilding team, or play with Jimmy Butler in Miami with a good young core?
That's true.
The real question is when is Carmelo Anthony going to sign?
Never.
You don't think he's going to sign again? I don't think he's done.
I think he's done in the NBA.
I feel like he's going to have like a retirement tour game. He's going to sign with a team, kind of like D-Wade did with the Cavs that year. You know, he just kind of joined to join.
He got traded to the Cavs, no? Oh, no, he did go to free agency and then signed with the Bulls.
And then he got traded back because they weren't good.
That's right.
I mean, What are they going to trade Melo back to the Nuggets halfway through the year?
Oh, I don't want to see Carmelo Anthony in a Nuggets uniform. He burned that bridge.
He wouldn't be playing, but it'd be cool to see him. I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest trade of this whole week, and I don't know if we talked about it last week, and I don't know if it had happened yet, but Jeremy Grant is a Denver Nugget.
We did talk about that last week.
Can you stop yawning, bro?
Dude, it's early in the morning. Come on.
It is 10:15. Do you wake up earlier than I do?
I was up at 8 this morning. Missed my coffee.
I was up at 7:30.
I missed my coffee, man. Oh no, I was up at 7:30. 7:35 is my alarm today.
You understand? I had to pick up you and David right before you even got awake, and I had to make breakfast, and I ate some bad chilies last night, so my stomach doesn't feel good.
Oh man,
where's the energy? Do you care about this podcast right now?
I do. Let's talk about the moratorium period. Got to take you to school about the moratorium period.
All right, go ahead.
So Marcus Morris went back on his verbal agreement with the San Antonio Spurs, and he went on to sign with the New York Knicks for 1 year, $15 million. San Antonio Spurs actually initially gave him a 2-year, $20 million deal, right? And there was a verbal agreement in the moratorium period. The moratorium period, for those of you guys that don't know, is the 3 days before free agency starts that you could have verbal agreements, right? Teams can work with players on verbal agreements, and nothing's official until that moratorium period ends. But during this moratorium period, Marcus Morris went and made a verbal agreement with the San Antonio Spurs, right? So this marks the 3 times in the last 2 years that players have gone back or dismissed their verbal agreement. I'm going to butcher this first name. Nemamha Baleka? I couldn't tell you. And
Pat Valeka?
No.
Oh.
And Yogi Ferrell backed out with the 76ers and Mavericks to go sign with the Sacramento Kings, right? But remember, it also happened in 2015 when DeAndre Jordan, right? When that he agreed with the Mavericks, Mark Cuban, and then all of his Clippers teammates basically went to his house, locked him in his house, and said, "Hey, you're actually going to sign with the Clippers." You know, remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was a famous sit-in by his then LA Clippers teammates, right? And that was Chris Paul, Blake Griffin. I'm sure there was others, but those are the only 2 that I can name off that 2015 Clippers roster.
And then he got traded and hasn't been the same player since.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
He's in Brooklyn now?
But
I mean, who knows? He's going to play Brooklyn. Regardless, back to what you're saying.
But what makes this even worse for Marcus Morris is that the Spurs went and cleared cap to get Marcus Morris. They went and traded away, did a couple sign-in trades to make the cap room for Marcus Morris to come to San Antonio. Who wouldn't want to play for Popovich?
Who wants to play in New York? Is the
pay me $15 million in a year, and I'll go play for New York.
Yeah, pay me $100,000 a year. Like
I'll go play in New York. Yeah, exactly. Us.
I'll go sit on the bench in New York, man. I don't care if I had to play.
But does this verbal agreement in the moratorium period, is this going to become a trend in the NBA that teams have to be afraid of this moratorium period?
I don't necessarily think so, and it doesn't necessarily surprise me that Marcus Morris did this, knowing like what I've seen on the court from him. Yeah. I've never met him, so that's not something I can say like this guy sucks. But essentially, like that doesn't surprise me that he would do something like this. And there are players like this throughout the NBA that chase the bag, man. And they want their bag. They don't care who they play for, if they win or not.
Yep.
And that's the truth of it. But, I mean, I don't think this will be consistent. It's going to happen every once in a while. That's part of having verbal agreements with players that want to make money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure Marcus Morris wasn't, like, who knows what was going through his head there. There's so many different reasons for why you can do what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily short. So going forward, what would the league do with moratorium, you think?
Do you expect them to short it? Is that what you mean?
I mean, I just don't understand the point of it, right? And I think we talked about this earlier.
I think the point of the moratorium period is to give GMs and give teams a chance to see who's on the market and who's going where before they put pen to paper. I think it gives them a chance to eyeball the market without committing anything too serious.
Right. Well, then vice versa. What's the same thing with the players, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So why should they commit serious when teams want to make that? So, I mean, this just seems like both ways. There's not really a right answer here. Why have it in the first place?
Nothing is complete until pen is put to paper. You could back out of a verbal agreement. Granted, people might not like it.
Right.
Right. You could have signed your offer. Granted, people might not like it. But it is what it is. Nothing's official till pen to paper. That's a contract. Till pen meets paper, it is just a verbal agreement. It is nothing more. Right?
I mean, that happens a lot with.
It happens
all the time.
It happened to Kroenke and Usai when we wanted to bring back Usai for
Masai.
Masai. What did I say?
Usai.
Masai.
Masai Ujiri.
Ujiri. Masai Ujiri. Right? It happened to him too, where Kroenke and him had a verbal agreement that he was going to come back to the Nuggets, and then all of a sudden summer comes and he packs his bag, gets his visa, and goes to Toronto.
He probably already had a visa. He was foreign anyway. But he went to Toronto.
Is he? Is he foreign?
Yeah. Masai Ujiri, do you really think he's from America? I mean, he might have been born here, but he's
exactly. If you're born.
I mean, he went to Toronto, built a dynasty over there for a year.
Yeah, you're right.
I wouldn't call it a dynasty.
You're right. Zaria, Nigeria.
I thought you were saying his name again. I was like, what?
No.
But he went to Toronto and built a dynasty, and now he.
I didn't know he actually played. Like, had a playing career.
Yeah, he was the GOAT, man.
He was a scout for the Orlando Magic in 2002, and then with the Nuggets, and worked his way up. Wow. More you know. I didn't know.
I feel like I saw a documentary on him once, and I was like, "Hey, this guy's cool."
Huh,
and he went to Toronto, and he was sitting on a podium, and he's.
Well, the more you know.
I just had to throw that in there for him, for my boy Masai.
For your boy. But yeah, so I don't necessarily see the league shortening this moratorium period. I think it's fine where it's at. What are they going to do? Make it like a day? Give GMs, hey, you have 24 hours to fill out your team in verbal agreements. You got to fly from New York to Los Angeles if you want to get 2 superstars. Do you think that's not going to happen?
No, it's
3
not.
days is perfect. You got 3 days to meet with free agents.
Sounds about right. Well, just thank goodness that like Nolan Arenado didn't do that, or stuff like that, right?
Well, and that's the thing in baseball is that it's totally different, because now in baseball you're not looking to sign when you hit free agency. You're looking for extensions when you have 2 years, 3 years left on your contract.
That's interesting. I think that's the great thing about sports, right? Every sport has different contracts.
Different.
Like, just go through the major sports. Like, they don't make a lot of money in the NHL.
Correct.
The MLB is extensions, right? Because free agency
and it's fully guaranteed.
Right.
Fully guaranteed contract.
Go to the NFL, right? Nothing is really guaranteed very often. The NBA, you get these super max contracts and stuff. The Women's World Cup, they don't get paid enough.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I have an article coming out about that. Is that Wednesday?
Wednesday.
I'm working on it.
It's due yesterday.
Oof. Uh-oh.
Mike Kawhi, what do you think about Mike Kawhi Leonard, though? You think it's good? No, that's Spice Adams. That's this one.
Yeah. What's the Kawhi Leonard? Is it
No, that's Spice Adams. This is Kawhi. You gotta have a deeper laugh to that.
I can't get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I have a good one. I've been working on it. My Spice Adams. Do you want to hop on the mic, David? And you don't want no.
David, you don't want to hop on the mic, man?
I just want to hear your laugh, bro. You got a good one. No,
he's saying no.
He's not comfy with it.
Camera shy?
He's camera shy. It's all good.
Hey,
man.
maybe one day we can get David on the camera in the studio. We could talk about some JUCO baseball or something.
That would probably help our viewer rate. People would probably like that.
I'd be down to talk about some JUCO baseball, man.
Did you play?
I didn't, but I coach.
You coached JUCO baseball?
No. I coach 10-year-old baseball. Speaking of which, shout out 10-year-old bomb squad, baby. We just top 6 in the state. Put together a really solid weekend. I think we scored 63 runs in 5 games.
How many runs would you score off Kyle Freeland right now?
My 10-year-old bomb squad team, they'd probably hit about 3 home runs and at least 9 runs on Kyle Freeland right now. as long as we play at Coors Field. Kyle Freeland returns to the big leagues, right, and did not look good at all on Saturday night.
But do you want to be honest right now? He was the best pitcher in that game.
I mean,
better
maybe.
Than Chad Bettis, better than Jairo Diaz.
He pitched 4 innings, 9 hits, and 5 runs. Currently has a Major League Baseball ERA of 7.39. Will, do you think he's ever going to return to Cy Young form?
That's a good question. I wouldn't. I can't answer that question today, but I can say that he's gonna struggle to come back. I didn't expect him to come back and throw Kyle Freeland at 2018, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, right? I want that guy. back to what he was. I think everybody's in that same boat, and I think it'll come. There's just going to be that one instant that's going to come. One of these starts, he's going to go 7 innings, no hits, and all of a sudden he's back.
You think so?
I don't know.
Okay,
when.
so I'm gonna say this. I don't think he's going to return to Cy Young form, but I think he could return to a somewhat consistent form.
The 2017 form, right? The year before his rookie year.
Right,
Like,
where
he
he
wasn't a Cy Young. I guess he was a Rookie of the Year candidate, but he was good. He was dang good, and he pitched in Coors Field.
He was a guy that you could expect him
Here's
to go
the
5 or
thing.
6 innings and give up 4 or 5 hits.
And we should, on the next show for the breakthrough, let's talk about this. But what's going on at Coors Field right now is not the Rockies pitching. Yes, it has a little bit to do with the Rockies pitching, but there's a lot more behind what's going on, not only at Coors Field, but in baseball right now, that is kind of being swept under the rug a little bit, and with the baseballs and the players, and it kind of came out this weekend.
Are they juicing balls, right?
Right, exactly.
Huh, yeah.
There's no way that the Rockies pitching staff can go from 2 years of being consistent, probably one of the best staffs in baseball last year, to all of a sudden the worst staff. There's no way with returning the same staff. There's no way that that's like happening in sports.
So before we get in further, before the season started, I had said that I didn't think that this Rockies pitching staff could repeat. Like, we were so good last year that it is hard to repeat that kind of year,
100%,
right?
and I agree with you. I was like, there is no way that they can do what they did, but there's no way that they should have fell to where they are now. There's something behind it, whether it's a pitching coach. Did they change pitching coaches this offseason? I'm pretty sure. It was the year before, probably.
I don't think they changed anything this year with the pitching staff. They would have brought everybody back because they did so good last year.
Exactly. So there's some meaning behind it, and that's something definitely to look into. And it's a developing story right now. We haven't seen this kind of offense at Coors Field since pre-Humidor era.
Yeah, but what exactly can you do to a baseball to make it bounce farther without anybody recognizing it?
I'm not a scientist, man.
You know,
I mean, there's pitchers recognizing it. We recognized it, right?
Yeah.
We held 2 different Major League Baseballs, and we're like, this one feels a lot lighter. It feels a lot different.
So you think it's just...
It seems that could be one of the strings inside the baseball. I mean, the baseball is complex
a baseball
as it
is
is.
simple.
It's
literally
as simple as it is.
A red ball, a red like little rubber ball basically, and it's got a bunch of string, a little bit thicker string, a little mixed with a little bit thinner string, wrapped around it very tightly, right? And then you got the baseball leather cover. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but there's a lot of stuff, especially in Colorado, that you can do with a baseball.
Well, in Colorado,
think about like how little like you used to have people that like spit on the ball or whatever, and it makes it move crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine what you can do if you tighten a lace. I mean, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I think really, I mean, we went from the year of the pitcher. We saw like 3 or 4 years of those, right?
Yeah.
Where we're throwing perfect games, no hitters, pitchers were putting up stats we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And just think like the best pitcher in the AL right now. Who would that be? Justin Verlander, right? Arguably.
Yeah, arguably.
I mean, Luis Giolito is pretty good.
You could, yeah, I'd make the argument for Justin Verlander.
Tanaka's all right.
Yeah, Tanaka's been really good this year, like really good.
But you know who leads the AL in home runs allowed? Justin Verlander, right? You know who leads the MLB?
Is it Justin Verlander?
Kyle
Freeland. Oh man. Shoot.
But yeah, so Verlander has the best ERA that we've seen in years, minus the guy in the NL.
Yeah.
And he's given up the most home runs. So there's definitely a correlation there. There's no way that he could just be like that, and he notices it.
I mean, could it be ballpark factors? Could it be who he's playing against, the lineups? This is the year of the power hitter where teams are hitting a lot of home runs.
Yes, we've seen an amazing
and it
influx
could be
in home runs,
the American League just being a really tough
league. Yeah.
Tough league. You know?
It's just really hard for me to believe that a team that was so good pitching last year returns 3/4 of their staff, minus their bullpen. I mean, the back end of their bullpen was
Yeah.
It returns their staff, and for it to do what it's doing. Kyle Freeland's a different story because you clearly saw him go to Albuquerque and struggle.
Yeah, exactly.
But everybody else, right? But then here's the other thing to argue, right? Usually the splits are pretty bad. Coors Field versus on the road.
But they're not.
They're bad
they're
both places.
bad.
So that has nothing to do with the stadium that they're playing in. And even if you look at the stats minus Charlie Blackmon for this Rockies team, they're pretty even.
Well, Honestly, I think it's literally just hitters are better now than they ever have
All
been.
of a sudden, like, it wasn't this crazy a year and a half ago.
Was it though?
They were good.
Teams
but
have been building their roster. GMs have been building their teams around home run hitters. I mean, you look at the Yankees.
Correct.
Every single person in that lineup has the ability to hit 15 to 25 home runs a year, at least. Granted, they play in a little league ballpark,
Right.
but every hitter on that team has the ability to go yard 15 to 25 times a year, at least.
Exactly. But do you expect DJ LeMahieu to be an MVP candidate right now? I mean, yes.
I expected him to be an MVP candidate in
Yes.
Colorado, to be honest.
But national media-wise, like,
well, here's the thing
no.
about DJ. I don't think he's hitting that many home runs.
I mean, he doesn't have to. He could just slap the ball out of the place, get on second base, and Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Hicks could pop one up and get one out of Yankee Stadium. I mean, the Yankees are good.
Yeah, he's batting .330, right? But he has 65 hits, or excuse me, 115 hits, 65 runs. He does have 64 RBIs, 25 walks, a lot of strikeouts at 55 strikeouts.
Which isn't like DJ.
12 home runs. That's it.
Which is, I mean, good for DJ. That's not what he did at
He
Coors
wasn't
Field.
he wasn't a power hitter at Coors Field
He's
until
not a-
last year,
Well, he wasn't a power hitter at Yankee State. He just kind of hits balls to right center field, and they
go
land
out
in the bleachers, right?
I mean, I got kids that can hit a ball out of Yankee Stadium.
One question, and this is totally off the record, but on the record. What is your World Series prediction right now?
World Series prediction? Oh my gosh, this is way too early to be talking about
just
that.
two teams that you think are going to make the...
Yankees, Dodgers.
Yeah.
And the Yankees are going to win because the Dodgers don't show up in October.
Pause. You know, I want to say Yankees, Dodgers, but that would be boring for the show.
You think so? It's the Yankees, Dodgers. It's two of the most historic teams in baseball.
Right. That would be boring to just agree with you. That's no fun.
Okay.
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 One more.
Okay.
What did you say?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I love this show. I love this show.
Isn't it so easy to just
Go off on
we can just
tangents?
be like, let's go to the studio on a Monday, let's sit in the studio and talk about random stuff for 35 minutes.
We probably
People
could.
actually listen to it.
We probably could.
Yeah, and people say we do some good stuff. I don't know what they're talking about. Well, just close on the Rockies right now. Yankees Dodgers is a pretty good pick. I could see the Astros making a run. Whoever makes the biggest splash in this next couple of weeks for trade deadline is definitely going to be it. Like if the Astros go out and get Marcus Stroman, I think they're title contenders.
Rockies need to go out and make a move over the next couple of weeks. We got 2 weeks to make a trade.
I think we all agree with that. I just don't feel like there's any noise right now.
We're only a game and a half out of the wild card, right? Only a game. I say only a game and a half, but I also know we're like 14 games behind the Dodgers or something like that.
Dodgers, again, I said this last
14 and a half games behind the Dodgers.
The Dodgers are having a historic season, so even if they're
going to win the West.
Even if the Rockies were having a good year, they were 10 games over 500, they still would be 4 games back of the Dodgers, right?
Yeah. But we're behind the Washington Nationals, who we have a 4-game series coming up with.
Are the hottest team in baseball since May.
They're like 8-2 right now in the last 10
May.
games.
They're the best team in baseball.
We got the Philadelphia Phillies, Milwaukee Brewers, St. Louis Cardinals, and Arizona Diamondbacks all ahead of us. I don't see the Diamondbacks.
The Padres right there too.
Yeah, Padres are right behind us. I don't see the Diamondbacks staying like this.
They're just not built for a
long season playoff
unless they
run.
make a move.
I agree. The Cardinals, you always have to be afraid of the Cardinals. This is a really solid baseball team. They have been for the last 10, 15 years.
This Cardinals team has completely underperformed so far this year.
Exactly.
One thing that's going to hurt them is not having their closer for the rest of the year.
There you go.
But again, they go out and make a move for a starting pitcher. This team is a contender. You need 3 starting pitchers, and right now they probably have 2.5.
The Brewers, I'm really surprised that they're still sitting right here. But then again, they're right behind the Chicago Cubs. That have been really bad, but they got off to such a hot start that they can play this bad and still be up a couple games in the Central.
And if you look at the Brewers, right, why were they successful last year? Their offense, they were very, very much so like the Rockies, right? They had a really good offense. Obviously, the Rockies didn't have a great offense last year. They had a great offense that didn't perform.
Yeah.
They had a pitching staff of people that you really haven't heard of that pitch well.
Exactly, and they can't duplicate that. It's the same thing.
Exactly. So Yelich is playing an MVP candidate year. You talk about what Bellinger. Is that what I said?
Yelich.
That's
what you said. But I always say Yelich.
Oh, Yelich has had an MVP caliber year.
Yeah, 100%.
We talk about how Cody Bellinger is having a historic year. Yelich is playing better right now,
Exactly. Statistically, Yelich has been the better player.
So,
100%.
And I feel like hype-wise, Bellinger's going to win. But, I mean, this is a long ways out. I like what MLB's doing with them.
The Phillies, they should be competitive. They should be competitive, but I don't think they'll be competitive come September.
Bryce Harper's got to return to everyday form, right? He's playing like a below-average player.
He's hitting like 250 or something like that.
I'd be interested to see his WAR, right?
Yeah,
like it's probably Ian Desmond territory right now.
He's got to be negative WAR. He didn't even make the All-Star team.
That's so crazy to think.
The highest paid baseball player, or I guess not highest paid baseball player, but one of the highest, like top five,
top
right?
Two.
Ooh, Nolan's making more than him.
Average per year and all that stuff.
Oh well,
the only one that has more money than him or is making more money is Zach Greinke.
Bryce Harper WAR 1.2.
Yeah, that's one game.
He's hitting 251.
Just think about that.
62 RBIs. That's it. 366 on base percentage. He's only slugging 461.
You said he's 62 RBIs, right?
Yeah.
But you argue that DJ LeMahieu is an MVP candidate at 65 RBIs. So, I mean, 62 is pretty dang good at this point.
No.
He's halfway to 100.
DJ LeMahieu's also hitting 330. That's 80 points in difference of a batting average.
Yep. And defensively, I think that DJ is the better player.
Exactly. And he's able to play third. He's playing third base, second base. He's playing all over that infield in New York.
I will make an argument here that I think that the Rockies, some of their struggles is the lack of defense that they've had this year.
Yeah.
Going back to the time where Tulo was a second base or shortstop, right? They were one of the best defensive teams in the league, and this year at least their outfield for one has been horrific to watch, especially that inning against the Reds on Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. Those triples, they put up historic stats, triples and home runs. Right. First team to ever do that. Yes, that's on Kyle Freeland because nobody's catching those balls, but they shouldn't be triples, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I mean, just defensively, I know it was wet. It was 10 o'clock, not a normal day. But again, I'm gonna go back to Kyle Freeland here. How many times do you come back from being in AAA and get in a rain delay for 4 hours, right?
Yeah. That was a really long rain delay. I was there. 3 hours of rain delay.
And I get it. And I said this on Saturday, right? You don't want to reschedule a game against two contenders. The Reds are technically a contender. It was a travel day yesterday, so there was no way they were going to throw in a 6 o'clock game. Especially with the Rockies having a doubleheader today. They weren't going to do back-to-back doubleheaders. They don't have the pitching for that.
Exactly.
One side note that I didn't forget, we didn't talk about this series against the Giants, right? You have Germán Marquez for game 1 at 12. We're about an hour and a half away from that. That gives me chills. I'm excited.
I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked.
And then the second starter will be Yency Malte.
Was that announced?
Not necessarily announced, but he was called up for the 26th man for doubleheaders. So it's pretty sure, unless they decide to do like an opener, which I might be interested in seeing.
I was gonna say this might be a bullpen game where they try to throw.
But after what they just did against Cincinnati and how much their bullpen was worked,
yeah, okay, that's fair.
I'm excited to see Wade Davis be more successful. I mean, he has a couple saves since coming back.
This opening game, this 12 o'clock game between Germán Marquez and Jeff Samardzija is going to be a good one. Samardzija threw 7 shutout innings against the Cardinals in the Giants' first half finale on July 7th. Right, he's 2-0 with a 1.2 ERA in his past 2 outings. Overall, Samardzija is 5-7 with 3.97.
It's gonna be a weird game, and how often do you have a 12 o'clock start Mountain Time? Right, that's 10 a.m. on the East Coast.
Yeah.
No, it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. I'm sorry, but 10 a.m. back where San Francisco plays. They never start at 10 a.m. They don't get out of bed at 10 a.m.
Yeah. Well, Marquez's first half, that reminded me of the late 90s, early 2000s when Pedro Estacio was battling hard luck and high ERA, but he was keeping the Rockies in games, and that's what Marquez is doing. He's keeping the Rockies in games, and that's all you could ask. At Coors, he's 4-1, even though he has a 5.7 ERA. What can you do?
When they score like that, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Derek Rodriguez supposed to be called up today. I'm not sure if the call's already been officially announced, but he's going to be the 26th man for the Giants doubleheader. He was actually optioned to Class A Advanced earlier the year, so that way they can stretch him out as a starter. They wanted to keep him pitching, but they didn't want to put him in the bullpen where he would only pitch 1-2 innings. They decided to send him down to Class A where he could throw 3-4 innings and be consistent.
Makes sense.
So they want to stretch him out as a starter because usually he's a reliever. So being able to have that ability to stretch Derek Rodriguez out as a starter was actually going to help them in the long term come September.
this is going to be the Rockies' biggest 2 weeks of the season. And I
Oh,
feel like
100%.
I've said this before.
This
but
is going to be when the tide turns. You have to have the tide turn over the next 2 weeks.
4 games against the Giants. You have to win 3 out of 4 at home. And they play the Brewers. That's going to be a very interesting series.
They don't play the Brewers. No. We got the Yankees, man. After we have 4 games against the Giants, we got a 10-game road trip. Because I'm going on the 10-game road trip, man. Which is another conversation we're gonna have at the end of the show. Whether we'll have a podcast next Monday. We got 3 at New York. We got 4 at Washington and 3 in Cincinnati. Rockies
all contenders.
Yeah, Rockies need to aim to win at least 7 out of 10 on this road trip. 7 out of 10. You should be able to. Let's hope you could beat the Yankees in 2 out of 3 games. You know, they lead the AL East by 6 games, so it should be a competitive series. Nationals have won 8 of their last 10, and they've been the best team in baseball since, what did you say, May 24th?
21st, something
May
like
21st. Rockies need to take 3 out of 4 against the Nationals. You need to take 3 out of 4 against the Washington Nationals. And also, we're coming off a series win against the Reds, but we need to take 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati. If not, it's a sweep.
Well, they have to win every series. That's the truth, right?
Here on out, you have to win every series. You have to win every series going forward for the rest of the season.
I mean, that's impossible. I mean, it's possible, but it's not going to happen.
Hey, I'm not asking the Rockies to sweep every team. I'm saying, hey, just win 2 out of 3 games. Win Friday night. You could lose Saturday night. Win Sunday.
Yep.
Win Monday. Lose Tuesday, win Thursday, or win Wednesday.
If they could steal 1 game from the Yankees, I'd be happy. In New York, they have not played there in 6 years or so.
Yeah, you have to. If we can steal 1 game in New York, I would be very happy. I'm hoping it's going to be that Friday or Sunday game because I'll be there.
I hope Kyle Freeland pitches second.
I hope he pitches.
Watching him pitch.
I want to see
one thing.
To see Kyle Freeland in New York would be sweet.
I know it really sucks that he's not pitching well, but I still like watching him pitch, even when he's not pitching well.
Yeah, exactly.
That tells you how good. I don't know.
I'm a big Kyle Freeland guy.
Yeah,
big Kyle Freeland guy.
I don't care if he gives up 7,000 runs. I'm still gonna post pictures of his dogs. If you have dogs, please send us some pictures. Game7show@gmail.com.
Yeah, man, I'd love to see some dogs, man. Game7show@gmail.com, or you could tweet them to us at _Game7. You could tweet Will at Will Satler or myself at Isaac_Bugarin. Real quick, I'm not sure if we're gonna have an episode next week. I'll be out of town, like I just was talking about. I'll be in New York and then going to Washington D.C. and going to Cincinnati.
Are you gonna have these clips prepped, or are we gonna have to go another week with no clips?
I don't know.
I mean, the video looks nice
what
today.
if we did what if I called into the studio?
I mean,
but then we wouldn't have any video clips. We'd have an episode, but we wouldn't have any video clips.
We definitely could if you Skyped in.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Are you going to be available on Monday? Is the question.
Let me see.
The question is do I get a new co-host? David, you want to hop in the studio next Monday?
I didn't even think about that. You could even do that. You could have somebody else be.
Good.
you could have somebody else. Or what if my brother wanted to come in, dude? Let me see. Monday the 22nd. Do I have tickets to a game on Monday the 22nd? It might be a travel day, to be honest. I might be trying to travel from New York to Cincinnati.
Pay for the Wi-Fi.
Let me see. Actually, I'll still be in New York. Monday, we might be able to make something happen.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to do like a Monday morning again.
I mean, I don't care. We're open all day.
Because Tuesday I'll be at Citi Field. I'll still be in New York on Tuesday. I don't go to Washington until Wednesday, Thursday.
Why are you going to Citi Field? Who is playing at Citi Field?
The Padres and the Mets.
Oh, you're going to go see Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm going on this journey to go to all 30 ballparks, right? So I've already been to Coors Field, obviously. I love Coors Field. San Diego, San Francisco. Went to Arizona earlier this year. Went to Kansas City earlier this year. So that's 5.
I'm jealous.
And then I'm going to go to Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, Washington, D.C., and Cincinnati. So that's 9. And then I was thinking I could catch like a St. Louis game or something sometime this year in like September. Maybe catch like a day trip out there on a weekend.
Other than Coors Field, what's your favorite stadium that you've been to?
So far, my favorite stadium is probably Kauffman. Was really pretty. Everything around it was really pretty. A lot of green trees.
That's Kansas City for you.
San Diego was actually a very good ballpark.
Yeah, I've heard
it's very beautiful. Got a lot of bars around it.
I heard that.
That was really nice. At the time, it was AT&T, but now it's Oracle Park in San Francisco. That's another really good one. You got the Bay sitting out in right field. Really cold though, it was May. It was really cold. That's probably one of the colder baseball games I've ever been to.
All right, flip question. Other than Chase Field, what is the stadium you like the least?
Ooh. Well, I've only been to 5. I've only been to 5. I didn't really like Chase Field.
You didn't like Chase Field.
Out of the 5 I've been to, Chase Field would probably be the last one.
You would put Salt River Fields at Talking Stick above them? Because I would. I think
Honestly,
that
I
was one
would.
of the most beautiful stadiums we've ever been to.
Especially for spring training. That was a really beautiful spring training facility.
Yeah.
But Chaseville just has like, it's air conditioned, yeah, and the roof is pretty sweet. But I mean, the turf there sucks. The dirt there sucks.
Yeah.
The stadium is just so like tall, right? So all the seats, especially in the upper deck, are basically like a straight line up, and it's really just like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I just have like a height.
Yeah, you are pretty short.
I'm afraid of heights.
You are pretty short. Yeah.
Man, I'm close to the ground. Low center of gravity, baby.
Gravity. That's exactly what it is.
So I don't know. We'll try to figure out a show for next week, see if we can work something out here. You could find us on Met Radio, mymetmedia.com. Obviously, we just talked about Skyping in. That's a possibility for all of our guests to try to work something out. Like us on Facebook at Game 7 Show, YouTube Game 7 Show, Twitter at _Game 7. Follow Will at Will Satler. Follow myself at Isaac _Bugarin. You can tweet us, follow us, DM us. You can do whatever you want to do. Find us on mymetmedia.com/game/7. And we are live on Mondays, coming to you every Monday with a new episode.
Do you have a what is it? A shelter that you want to support today? We should start like supporting shelters, getting to sponsor us. We could sponsor them.
Yeah, we could just give them a little shout out. I actually don't have a shelter.
You know what we should do?
What should we do?
We'll just do Dumb Friendly, right? That's Dumb Friendly and Denver's fire. But we should adopt, or what is it, nanny a dog or whatever for like a week and bring them to the studio for a show.
What if we did it around the time when it's Bark at the Park with the Rockies?
And we like take the dog with us to
the Rockies game?
We're just gonna, if we do that, I'm just gonna adopt the dang dog. Like,
yeah,
I feel like that's
go to the
a
shelter.
bad idea.
Go to the shelter first, man. Go to the shelter first. That's what I say.
I've
always said it.
Don't say it first. Just go to the shelter. Period.
Yeah, go to the shelter. Period.
There's too many dogs
In the shelter.
and cats. Don't forget about cats.
Yeah, cats.
I'm not a big cat guy, but
I'm a big dog guy.
you like cats.
No, I'm a big dog guy.
Right.
Big dog guy, man.
You like snakes or something.
No, I like dogs.
You like rats.
Hey, man,
you have a guinea pig.
No, I'm a little biased towards labs because we just had, that was the most recent dog that my family had, was a lab, and so I really liked that. I mean, it was a loyal dog. Labs are loyal, man.
Shout out, dog.
But really, we're looking at trying to get a French bulldog. So if anybody knows a shelter where we can find a French bulldog,
I don't know if you could do that. I think those are like bred puppies.
no, those are just really rare.
So
Like, they're
you want a
expensive,
rare
dude.
Dog?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a French.
You're gonna move
man,
out in a year.
French bulldog is a really cute dog.
You're moving out in a year.
Where am I going in a year?
I don't know.
We're gonna graduate at the same time because I'm a double major now.
You're gonna live at home the entire time.
I thought you were talking about I'm moving to Arizona State or something for grad school.
You want to go there? We will see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in to Game 7.
If you're looking for a pet, go to the shelter first. Period.